Hey, what's going on, dispatchers? I'm Antoine of the Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp, and in today's video, I want to talk about how to run a 3-day cash injection sprint. So, a 3-day cash injection sprint. So, one thing many people don't know when starting a freight dispatch business or any business for that matter, you want to have a cash injection sprint. These days, using the internet and being able to track our leads, we can basically backwards plan or reverse engineer a cash flow injection sprint. So we're going to give our business an injection of cash flow from the very beginning. So basically, from my freight dispatcher boot camp is teaching me and helping me to become more aware of what I did when I first started my business. So I can teach the best about freight dispatching from the results that's coming from my boot camp. So what I'm doing inside my freight dispatcher boot camp, I'm giving my members a cash injection on purpose. I'm creating the perfect environment for cash flow to rush into their business on purpose. And you will need this to happen in the beginning of your freight dispatch business for a couple of different reasons. And one of the most major reasons I do this for the members of my freight dispatcher bootcamp, because I know as business owners, I'm going to be able to increase their energy if I get them like a lot of money coming in very quickly from the beginning of their business, because that's going to be drivers signing up. So those drivers signing up and the money coming in is going to boost your confidence. So that's the main reason you want a cash flow injection from the beginning of your freight dispatch business. So this way you see those drivers coming in and you see that cash flow coming in and you're like, okay, I got this. Because I know for sure why a very high amount of people fail in freight dispatching, because they come in and they wait weeks, months, or just like many people and they never sign up any drivers, or they never make any money. So what that does as the days and weeks go along, it decreases people's confidence. It decreases the faith, right? So we need a lot of money coming in from the very beginning of the business to increase the faith. And then you're going to have more energy and more excitement to come to put back into your business. So in business, by that money coming in, it's going to excite you, and you're going to reinvest that money. That cash money is energy, basically spiritual energy. So that money coming in is going to excite you, and it's going to spark your energy, spark your faith to reinvest that energy and faith back into the business. And we need that to happen very quickly, right? So what I teach what's going to start a freight dispatch business guaranteed. Because you can have your freight dispatch agreement, you can have your LLC, you can have load board access, but if you don't have, or if you don't do what I'm teaching, the business won't last. So what I want to be able to do more is teach people the right ideas for a freight dispatching business to last, because I know people want to be able to hire employees to work for them. You want to be able to work from anywhere. You want to be able to pass down the business to your kids. And I know that's not going to happen if we don't have a cash flow injection from the very beginning. And that's what happened to me. When I first started my business, I had a cash flow injection. If any of you guys have heard my story, you know during my first month of business, I didn't sign up any drivers, right? So I was doing as I just described. I was losing the faith. My excitement level was decreasing that first 30 days. But that second month of business, I figured I knew everything that I needed to know about dispatching up until that point. You know, of course, I had to get some drivers to actually start dispatching them to learn more about dispatching. But what I did, I shifted my attention from dispatching to lead generation to marketing. So most people won't make it in freight dispatching because most people are just like me, came from being an employee. And I believe most people and most of my customers that I've worked with over the years are coming from being an employee and starting this business. And the number one killer of freight dispatch business is going to be the person starting it still thinking like an employee instead of thinking like a business owner. The employee mindset says, let me learn dispatching. Let me get my dispatch agreement. Let me get the paperwork. Let me find out how to get load board access. The business owner mindset says, how do I make some money in this business? Before I do anything, how do I attract leads, sign up drivers, and make money? So as a business owner, you have to have a sales strategy. Before you have anything else, you got to have a sales strategy. If you don't have a sales strategy in your business, it's no use of doing anything else at all. You might as well put everything else on the back burner until you have a sales strategy. And a sales strategy is a proven, repeatable method for customers, in this case, drivers, to always be coming in, right? That's what you want to figure out first. That's the whole thing about freight dispatching, right? You can figure out everything else, but if you don't have a sales strategy, you don't have a freight dispatch business. So what I did, I just said, I'm going to forget about thinking anything about trucking, freight dispatching, loads, rates, any of that stuff. I'm going to only think about marketing. I'm only going to think about generating leads and a sales strategy. How can I go within my mind and connect the dots and see myself always being able to sign up truck drivers, right? Because you would need an unlimited amount of truck drivers coming into your freight dispatch business. So if you don't have a system figured out to attract an unlimited amount of truck drivers into your freight dispatch business, it's no use of moving past that at all, right? Because that's how you're actually going to get drivers. So I'm going to be talking about a 3-day cash injection sprint. So what learning this in my freight dispatch business did is it taught me how to do this in any business. It's just the way that you market and sell. If you guys have any questions about freight dispatching, please feel free to drop them in the chat there. Drop any questions in the chat and I will answer them as I'm doing this live. I'll be happy to answer the questions, but as I said earlier, all the right ideas and what a freight dispatch business needs to be now in 2025 and in the future is in my freight dispatching bootcamp. What I basically did with the freight dispatcher bootcamp is I thought about how would I start a freight dispatch business right now in 2025? If I was brand new, how would I start today with all the knowledge and all the experience that I have? So I take all the knowledge and all the experience that I have and I give that to you inside my freight dispatcher bootcamp. So what I realized a few months or years before starting my freight dispatching bootcamp, that there weren't many freight dispatchers like actually building out departments, building out operations department where you have multiple dispatchers working with you, right? And then the thing is, if you don't actually build out the departments or build out the business, you're not going to have a business that long because it's not being built out. It has to consistently be built out, right? So one of the main reasons so many freight dispatch companies fail is the exact same reason so many owner operators fail. Owner operators fail because of the same reason, right? And this is what I teach inside the dispatcher bootcamp. I believe the problem these days, people look at every single business differently. It's all the same to me. It's all creating a pipeline. As a freight dispatcher, you need a pipeline of trucks, of drivers, right? As an owner operator, you need a pipeline of loads, right? So freight dispatching business and owner operators sometimes fail because of the same reason. Freight dispatchers don't have a pipeline of drivers and owner operators don't have a pipeline of loads. The flow of loads isn't coming in fast enough and the loads aren't profitable enough to keep up with the expenses of the business, bottom line, right? And you got to fix that. You got to see that going on and then think like, what can I do to change this around? So one thing freight dispatchers aren't building out the business, and owner operators aren't building out their business either. It's going to be very hard to survive these days as an owner operator, a one-person truck. And the reason why is because if you only have one truck as an owner operator, over the years, your body is going to start breaking down. You're not going to have as much energy to do the work. So that's going to decrease cash flow in the business. You're not going to have the same excitement level. And then on top of that, the truck is getting more wear and tear on the truck. It's having more maintenance issues, more miles are being put on the truck. And as more miles are put on the truck, those maintenance issues are happening more frequently, and the expense to repair the truck is increasing because the parts that's going to start breaking down on the parts on the truck are going to be bigger and more expensive parts over time. So this is a recipe. And then if the driver isn't scaling their business, basically you need the cash flow coming into the trucking business. That's the first thing that needs to be fixed. You have to have the revenue coming in. And then on top of that, you need to be scaling. The owner operators need to be scaling to 2, 3, 4, and 5 trucks. See, this is building the business out. But if you think you're going to be an owner operator, especially these days, and revenue trickling in, and then that's going to create a bottleneck where the owner operator can't purchase second, third, and fourth truck. And then they're going to be dependent on that one truck that's more wear and tear is being put on that truck. That one truck is going to be in the shop more often, and that's going to take the truck off the road. So since they only have one truck, and then that one truck is being taken off the road more often in the shop, then while that one truck's in the shop, the business isn't generating any revenue at all, right? So yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. How we're trying to run trucking businesses, period, is a recipe for a disaster. And what needs to start happening more in the trucking industry, what's happening in any industry, the answer is easy, right? We overcomplicate this. What's happening in the trucking industry is owner operators are having the same state of consciousness. They're having the same mindset, so they're making the same decisions in their business, and they're getting the same results, right? That's what's going on in trucking, right? So we need to have different mindsets to manifest different results, right? So all results come from thoughts. So what I see in the trucking industry, too many owner operators not bringing in the revenue in the beginning of their business to be able to handle the expenses. And trucking is a very high overhead business. So that's not going to work if you're not bringing in the revenue. Okay. LA Reed says, if you can get drivers but don't know how to route a driver. So with that, I'll say all business step by step, right? So I wouldn't put too much energy on knowing how to route a driver until I know how to get a driver, until I know plenty of drivers are coming in. See, now if you make a system where you got plenty of drivers coming in automatically, and drivers are reaching out to you every day to work with you, it wouldn't matter if you know how to route a driver right now or if it took a week. If you still got drivers reaching out to you and you're taking the time out to route a driver, you're about to give yourself a cash flow injection. That's what you're about to do, right? Now, let me tell you, and you can actually do this on purpose. What you want to do is have very good marketing and then have people start reaching out to you, but don't take anybody in, right? Don't take anybody in just yet. So that would actually be the best thing ever in your business. If you can know how to sign up drivers, but don't know how to route drivers, because you want to start having those drivers reach out to you, don't take them in. Take some time to find out how to route drivers, and those drivers that's interested, that demand is going to start backing up in your business. And then you open up the doors, and then you got a floodgate of drivers coming into your business, which equals a floodgate of revenue. And this is what everyone, LA Reed just asked, if you get drivers, but you don't know how to route a driver. So basically those drivers coming in and you're not allowing any to sign up, it's going to start backing up the demand for your company. So then once you learn how to route and you start taking on drivers, you're already going to need some dispatchers to work for you. And that's pretty much the point of my video here tonight. You can do a cash flow injection sprint, and that's basically what I just explained. And this is what I mean when you can have an LLC, you can have a dispatch agreement, you can have all that, but that's don't necessarily create a successful freight dispatch business. But knowing how to give yourself a cash flow injection will actually build a business, and you'll have to hire dispatchers to work from you for day one. And this will solve the problem. See, most people that start businesses, the customers are going to be trickling in, right? But we want to reverse engineer the plan. So when we start our business, we can just have all types of demand knocking on our door from the very beginning. And if we have that demand knocking on our door from the very beginning, it's going to carry us months and years down the road. Most people open up a freight dispatch business and never have any drivers to reach out to them, or they're just barely trickling in. Again, what I said about owner operators having the same mindset or having this same state of consciousness as the market, it's this exact same for freight dispatchers. Most dispatchers are going to come in and only think about the dispatching part because that part sounds fun. And like I said, I've had plenty of customers over the years, right? So I know for myself from being a mentor, some people try to run away from marketing and sales, right? And even I did to myself. And if that's you in your mind, if you know you're trying to run away from marketing and sales and not concentrate on it because you're not comfortable for it, you got to get rid of that, because that's going to slow down the pipeline. That's going to slow down cash flow. Just that way of thinking, that mindset alone slows down cash flow. But to answer LA Reed's question, it's no big deal if you got drivers. That's a great thing. If you got drivers coming in and you don't know how to route, just take the time to figure that out in the meantime and let them stack up. Let the money stack up. Yeah. And I see LA Reed said most dispatchers can't route drivers. And still, we want to stick to the marketing, to the top of the pipeline, right? Because think about it, when you're marketing, people don't know if you got something good or bad on the back end anyway, right? You can have like some great ass marketing, but on the back end, don't know how to route drivers, right? Or think about it, if you know how to route drivers very well, but you don't know how to market, it's no use of knowing how to dispatch if you don't know how to market and sell people into the dispatching company. We got Kizzy on in the live here. This is the BC, the boot camp coordinator right here, Kizzy Howard. She says you got to change your mindset. Kizzy Howard, she's been in the boot camp for a few months right now. She has drivers working for her. She has dispatchers working for her within her business. And lately, she's been able to scale the revenue of one of her owner operators by 204%. Correct me if I'm wrong on that number, Kizzy, but she's been able to scale the revenue by 204%. That's another thing. If you can't increase the revenue of your owner operators week by week, it's going to be very difficult for you to run your freight dispatching business. You know, you can have everything else, the LLC dispatch agreement, but if you don't know how to increase a truck driver's revenue week by week, is no point in being a dispatcher, because the truck driver isn't going to stick with you, right? You know, that's how we retain customers. That's how I keep people in my boot camp month after month after month. It's the same way you as a freight dispatcher would keep an owner operator in your implementation program month after month after month. And that's always being able to increase their revenue. If you're always able to increase a customer's revenue, they're going to stick with you forever. Why would they ever leave? So that's what I teach in the boot camp, to be able to increase the revenue of owner operators. Any questions, drop them in the chat. Drop them in the chat. So we're going to start here with, what is a sprint? So we're going to talk about a sprint. I'm going to get more into this video, guys. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about what a sprint is. We're going to talk about how to get customers. We're going to talk about how to create a cash flow injection into your business. And I'm going to talk about posts, how to use Chat GPT to write social media posts. And I'm going to talk about cold calling from the FMCSA directory of new owner operators, right? So we can start getting some customers and making some money. That's another thing. We are business owners. We are CEOs of our own freight dispatching business. So the primary goal is to make some money, right? We're just not here to take training. We're just not here to learn what goes on a flatbed truck. We're just not here to learn the hours of service or about the load boards. We're here to make money, and we're here to increase revenue every single month. That's what I teach inside the Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp. I want my bootcamp members' revenue increasing every single month, right? And this is what we need to start thinking more about as freight dispatch business owners, right? We need to stop thinking about the load board so much and think about, how do I increase revenue in my company every single month? That's CEO talk. That's business owner talk, right? And as I'm able to teach the members in my Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp these methods, I'm seeing their business is being built out, right? Remember earlier I was saying you actually have to build out a freight dispatch business. You actually have to build out your operations department and hire multiple different dispatchers to work for you, right? You need to build out your sales department. Eventually you need to get off the sales calls with owner operators. You need to have your sales team calling owner operators on sales calls, signing them up for your business. Where you're somewhere making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per month on the beach somewhere, right? But you got to know how to reverse engineer that plan, and you have to know how to make that happen, because if you don't, you'll just struggle the entire time. So like I said, Kizzy, she's in the boot camp. She currently has dispatchers working for her. I was talking to her one day a couple of weeks ago. She was at an amusement park with her family while loads were getting booked. Passive income. Her dispatcher was booking loads, working with her owner operator. She was at an amusement park, spending time with her family. She just bought a new car not too long ago. Start telling all her business. Bought a new car. That revenue is coming in. She just bought a new car. So, we're making major moves in the boot camp, right? I just don't train. I want my members buying new cars, leaving their job, spending more time with their family, all that good stuff, right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. But to make this happen, though, is the leads. For Kizzy to be able to enjoy that time with her family while dispatcher's dispatching for her to be able to buy a new car, for her to hire multiple different dispatchers, she has to have the leads come in. It all starts with the leads. So first, your marketing department, that's where the leads come in at, right? And I'm saying this is why most people they don't launch, or they're not able to start a freight dispatch business, because their energy, their thoughts is concentrated on dispatching, right? You would normally, like even me, I came from being an employee, so I would think, yeah, it's a dispatch business. I need to think about dispatching, right? But no, that will make you fail, because the actual dispatching is the last stage of the pipeline. It's at the very bottom of the pipeline. You need to concentrate on the top of the pipeline the most, and that is marketing, because concentrating on marketing and lead generation will allow the most amount of drivers to flow down to the bottom of the pipeline. So your marketing is the lead generation, social media marketing, videos, posts. That's marketing, lead generation. Without marketing, without lead generation, you have nothing else. Next is so that's the marketing department. But what people don't realize when they're starting these businesses is when you're making videos or making posts, reaching out to customers, when you are doing marketing, you are actually working in your marketing department. You got to think of it as you're working in these departments. It's just not you, it's you, but you're working in multiple different departments, right? So if you're only thinking about the operations department, you're working And if you're thinking about getting load board access or how to book a load or how to negotiate a load, that's you working in operations department, right? But you got to spend a good amount of thought energy up in the marketing department to make this all happen. And really to grow the biggest and the most profitable freight dispatching businesses, your thoughts have to be up at the marketing department. I can even tell you on the live or any videos, most people are going to comment and ask questions about the operations department. So that's how you can tell where most people's minds is at. But putting your mind on the operations department would not manifest the most amount of cash flow. It's cause and effect. It's really very simple when you have the right mindset. So marketing department is the lead generation. Your sales department, when you get on a phone call and you have to call a driver to sell them into your company, you're working in the sales department. After you sell them into your company and you give them, you send out your freight dispatch agreement to them, they fill it out, sign it, send it back with their certificate of authority, certificate of assurance, and W-9. All that's the customer support department. And then once you have that and they're onboarded, this customer support or onboarding department, once that's good to go, they are now in the operations department. But see, we had that every driver you sign up, every driver you ever dispatch for is going to run through each and every department. They can't skip a department because they have to go through each and every one. You won't dispatch a driver before that driver goes through your marketing department, your sales department, your customer support or onboarding department, and then finally your dispatching department. So, or operations department. So if you want your operations to be big, if you want to have a lot of drivers to dispatch, it's the drivers that you dispatch and don't come from the operations department. That's just where you actually carry out the work in the operations department. The drivers that you dispatch in the operations department, they come from the marketing department, right? So we're actually building out a business. If you really want to own a freight dispatch business, don't even say, I want to be a freight dispatcher, right? Because your words have power. They won't return to you in vain. And every thought you think and every word you speak carries a vibration to it. So if you say, I want to be a freight dispatcher, that the vibrations in those words aren't high enough. Say, I want to own a successful, profitable freight dispatching business. I want to be the owner of a profitable freight dispatching business, right? Because we don't only want to be a freight dispatcher. That's not what you want to be. You don't want to just be a dispatcher. And you don't want to just only own a dispatching company. You want to own a profitable freight dispatching company with multiple different departments, and for those different departments to be being built out. So just got to change up those words so you can really receive what you want. You know, you asking is receiving, but you got to make sure you're asking for the right thing. It's the same with owner operators. You know, it's owner operators saying, I am an owner operator. Nah, that's not what you want to be saying. You want to be saying, I am a fleet owner, right? Because after you get out that company truck and become a owner operator, you don't want to just only stay an owner operator. Like I said earlier in the video, saying I'm an owner operator is putting yourself in that mindset and locking yourself down to only being an owner operator. And that just means you're an owner with one truck, that you're just operating one truck and it's getting more miles put on it, more wear and tear. It's breaking down more often because of the increased mileage on it, because the truck's getting older. So if you're saying I'm an owner operator, that's what you're saying. No, I want to strive to be a fleet owner because I don't want to stay just myself stuck in this one truck and everything's just breaking down. Nah, I want to be able to buy multiple different trucks and keep buying trucks, selling old ones, you know, like real business. That's what we want to be doing. And that's what I'm teaching the members in the Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp to implement into their owner operators trucking business. So we can actually, just how I'm helping you to grow out and build out dispatching businesses, I'm teaching you to do the same exact thing for your customers, to get them in your implementation program and be able to build out their trucking company by focusing on the right ideas. Just like in my bootcamp, I focus on lead generation because I know as my customers are able to generate or increase leads, they're going to increase cash flow. They're going to increase the money in the bank account. And that's the great thing about it. You just need to think about what are ideas that I can use to increase leads. And as you increase leads, you're going to increase the money in your bank account. So that's what was amazing for me for starting this business, because I came as an employee working a full-time job, living paycheck to paycheck, not enough time with my family. Co-workers got drama, managers stealing my ideas. So I came from all that stuff. So what was amazing with me with starting this business, as I just started to think to myself and read books about generating more leads, increasing demand, getting more customers interested in my business. As I started to think of those ideas, and notice, see, those ideas that's marketing department ideas, right? So as I thought about more ideas to implement into my marketing department, and I'm saying that a certain way so people will realize, even if it's just you running your business, you are implementing ideas into certain departments. So as I implemented more ideas into my marketing department, I generated more leads and I increased my bank account. So that's one of the most amazing things I loved about starting this business. And that's why I love training people and to help them start their business too, because I want you to just be able to think with your own mind of ideas to increase leads, and then see the bank account change. Just like me, I want you to just be able to think on your own without needing nobody else. Think of ideas, and even before you put those ideas out there, you already know you already know your bank account is about to increase, because it gets to the point you can just think of how good the ideas is, and you can kind of judge about like how much the cash injection in the bank account is going to be, because the cash injection in the bank account is coming from the ideas. Now we're talking real freight dispatching, right? Now we're talking actually building out a freight dispatch business. I'm going to just flash this on here real quick. So LA Reed says most drivers hate dispatchers because of lacking skills. So I'm just kind of going in at it like I would do in my boot camp. So like, let's say in the boot camp, we really, we're not going to be focused on the drivers that hate dispatchers. If it's drivers that hate dispatchers and I'm a dispatcher, I don't care nothing about those drivers. I don't want to hear nothing about them, because they're not my customer and they're not going to be putting any money in my pocket and feeding me and my family, right? So I'm not even going to talk about them, because that's wasted energy, pretty much. That energy needs to go towards generating revenue. That's another thing too that I just want to put out to you guys. Like, all your thoughts have to go towards thoughts to generate revenue, right? This is the problem with the trucking industry too. Most people in the trucking industry aren't thinking thoughts to generate revenue. They're thinking low rates, brokers are doing this, this is going on, that's going on. But those thoughts or that speech don't lead to the manifestation of increased revenue. So I just wanted to point that out. If it's not your customer, if they're not putting money in your pocket, I would stop thinking about them immediately, because we are business people, right? We are here to make money. We're not in business to think about the people that's not going to pay us money. Those people don't matter to us, right? That's not increasing our business. So, and then on lacking skills, what you want to do, you just saw with that, if you notice that in the industry. So basically, when I notice this in an industry, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add more skills than I see, more value than I see within the industry. And what is that going to allow me to do? That's going to allow me to attract more leads. So if I notice that, I'm just going to put out way more value than anything I see, so I can increase leads and increase revenue. Really, anything I think about and anything I do is going to lead back to increasing revenue. Let's get it. Let's get it. We're here to increase revenue at all times. And that's how I get the members of my boot camp to increase revenue at all times. In the boot camp, the only thing we talk about is making more money. If it don't concern increasing revenue, if it basically don't concern increasing leads, we don't talk about it, because like I said, we're business people. And then another thing, it's not a driver in the trucking industry that's going to hate a dispatcher that's making them more money, right? So that's why you need to be focused on making yourself as a dispatcher more money and making your customer, the owner operator, more money. Because like I said, the owner operator is not going to hate the dispatcher that's making them more money. People don't hate other people that can make them more money. I've never seen it in my life, right? I have never seen it. Right? So let's just concentrate on making the owner operator more money and they'll love us. They will love us. So I'm going to bring this other screen back up here. So we're going to get into what is a sprint. So it's a short, focused burst of action. It can be 3 to 7 days. It has clear rules, deadlines, and it's designed to build momentum fast. It removes distractions, only revenue driving tasks. Here we go again, revenue driving tasks. Now, if you're going to be doing revenue driving tasks, you have to be thinking revenue driving thoughts because that's where the task is going to come from, right? Like our boot camp coordinators say here, you got to be business minded. If you want to get above all the other dispatchers in the industry, the only thing you have to do is be more business minded. The only thing you have to do is increase the thought vibrations of wealth that's on your mind, and then you'll just surpass everybody easily, right? So a sprint is a focused burst of action. Every business needs a sprint when you first begin. What I see dispatchers coming in and they're not sprinting. A business is a sprint. The more action, the more energy you put into the beginning, then you're going to get those leads in faster, right? It's about momentum. Like I said, it's not about a dispatch agreement, an LLC, an EIN number. You know, most people that come in and freight dispatch and get all that. Most people get all that and still never make any money, right? So we want to focus on, we want to get our LLC and EIN number, but that's the easy stuff, right? But we want to actually make a profit because we're business owners. We don't want to just be people coming in, training, learning a little bit about the industry, wasting time and money and never getting a return on investment. We want to make some money back. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. LA Reed, can you route a driver for a week? I bet Kizzy can answer that. Her dispatcher just routed a driver for their entire week last week. So it is possible. It is possible. Any questions, drop them in the chat. Drop them in the chat. So we want to go on the sprint in the beginning of the business because the first thing that you want to be concerned with when you start your freight dispatch business is how can I get some leads in the pipeline? How can I generate my first lead? That's what I would concentrate on, right? While everybody else is concentrated on everything else, I would be thinking, how can I generate my first 10 leads and see what that turns out to? Would that turn out into me getting on a phone call? Would that turn out into me signing up a driver? So what I would do is really concentrate on generating those first 10 leads. And let's say I get on a phone call, but I don't sign up any drivers, right? Say out of 10 leads, I get on one phone call. But I don't sign up any drivers, right? So what I would do if I took a week out and after like my marketing, I did a sprint and I launched videos, social media posts, maybe made cold calls. Let's say I got 10 leads, 10 people interested in my business, maybe reaching out to me in my DMs or emailing me, but I only got on one sales call and no driver signed up with me. So if that happened 1 week, the next week, my goal would just be to double the leads, to get on 20 sales calls, to see out of those 20 sales calls, maybe I get 2 or 3 drivers signed up. 2 or 3 drivers on sales calls out of the 20 leads, and then maybe 1 driver that's signed up, right? So then this is when I get into predictable revenue. And this is what I first seen in freight dispatching when I first started. I started to notice, well, if I can get so many leads and that gets me on so many sales calls, and so many sales calls gets so many drivers signed up, and so many drivers makes me so much money, I'm like, well, I'm just going to really concentrate on the leads. I got to concentrate on how many leads I'm getting in this pipeline, because I want my revenue to always be increasing. And if I start at the top of the pipeline and increase leads, increased amount of leads, and I'll mention this too, what I'm using in the boot camp and what business used to be is just about natural law, right? I'm just using the law of attraction in the right way, right? So that's even why people who concentrate their mind just so much on the dispatching department, that's you're kind of breaking yourself against the law of attraction, because you got to start in the marketing department. So using the law of attraction or using natural law, if you have an increased amount of leads, it's going to automatically lead to an increased amount of sales calls. An increased amount of sales calls is going to automatically lead to an increased amount of drivers signing up, and an increased amount of drivers signing up is going to automatically lead to an increased amount of revenue. So that should tell you, start with the leads. Just only worry about leads, right? And for the members in my freight dispatcher bootcamp, that's why we outsource the dispatching part as soon as possible, because you can get very busy in the operations department, in the day-to-day operations department, and you'll forget about leads. As the CEO of the business, one of the main metrics that you need to be thinking about is the amount of leads you're getting every month. If you can get that amount of leads to increase every month, you're going to get the amount of revenue to increase every month. So that's what I do in the freight dispatcher bootcamp, because I want everybody's revenue to be increasing every month. So what I do is I just keep giving you ideas, keep launching ideas at you all the time to increase the leads, and that leads to increased revenue. She said, Kizzy said her dispatcher is skilled and books her drivers a week out. And see, this gives Kizzy more time to market and generate those leads, right? See, if Kizzy was the one networking with brokers like all the time, every day, it's too much busy work. That's what people don't know about freight dispatching too. It's too much work. I just put it out there. It's too much work for you to be doing it all on your own. To think you're about to be a dispatcher, dispatching loads and negotiating and going back and forth with brokers and marketing and signing up customers too. No, it's too much work. So it got to be done a certain way. So yeah, Kizzy's dispatcher was able to book that truck a week out. And during that time, see, Kizzy's still concentrating on leads. Kizzy's just signing up more truck drivers to be booked a week out and hire multiple dispatchers to work for her. Any questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. Drop them in the chat. We're here to build profitable freight dispatching business. We don't only want training. We want to actually build a profitable freight dispatch business that takes care of you and your family, that allows you to go on vacations and enjoy your life like we should be. Like I said, that's my main purpose. That's what I was able to do after starting my freight dispatch business. And I like to teach that to more people. So, what's a cash injection? A quick surge of revenue into your business. I'm sure everybody would love to have that. Comes from targeted actions, calls, posts, offers. It helps you sign drivers and send invoices fast, right? We want to sign drivers and send invoices fast. We want some invoices going out, right? We're here to give value to our customer and get paid cash value in exchange for that value we're giving out. So we definitely want invoices coming into that freight dispatch business. It bridges the gap while you build long-term systems. Yeah, you need that cash flow coming into your business because it would definitely bridge the gap. While you're building longer term systems and bigger systems, this could be email marketing, automations, funnels, come into your business. You need that cash flow to bridge that gap, to be able to pay for all this stuff. All these subscriptions can get very expensive, and they do help us to be more efficient and make more money, but we got to have the money coming in to support those software programs. Guys, got any questions? Drop them in the chat. Let me know where you're at in your freight dispatch business. What have you done? So here you guys go right here. We got Jaden. She says her goal is $50,000 per month. Jaden just recently joined our freight dispatcher boot camp. Look forward to some testimonials from her here soon, because we're going to be working on those leads. That's for sure. I thank all my boot camp members for being here too. Glad y'all in the house to support me. Glad y'all in the house. Say for this question, are some states more profitable than others? Michigan in particularly. And I say it depends on a lot, right? So this comes down to creating market demand. It depends on what trucking company, what equipment it is. And just to say, I wouldn't necessarily say like one state's always more profitable than another one. But I would definitely concentrate on, getting the drivers in to run in these multiple different in states. Does anybody in the live right now, does anybody have any drivers that's not in my boot camp? I know the ones in my boot camp that have drivers, but if you're not in the boot camp, if you have drivers, drop it in the chat. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't have drivers, all your questions should be about marketing, honestly, because like I've already said, because the energy don't need to be so much on dispatching, because you got to start having those drivers come in. Yep. What I do in the dispatcher boot camp, I help you to get those drivers started to come in from day one, as soon as possible. When you start your freight dispatch business, you want to be on sales calls within the first 7 days, right? You guys think about it. If you're not even getting on sales calls, what's the use of doing anything else? So really, how you want to start a business these days, especially having the internet, you want to market first. You want to really start marketing immediately and see if you get some interest, right? See if you get some motion on your brand, right? Because if you can't get people interested in what you have to sell, this is just selling. Good thing I brought this up. What most people starting freight dispatching businesses don't realize is dispatching is more selling than anything, right? And where so many people have problems is in selling, being confident selling something, right? And I'll tell you another thing too, how you can become confident in what you're selling. So basically, if what you're selling, if you don't really believe in what you're selling, first of all, you're not going to get on video. You're not going to speak about it in a certain way, because you really don't believe in what you're selling. So in the boot camp, what I teach my members to do is to build a successful dispatching business where you actually have expert dispatchers, right? Think about it. If you're trying to sell in the marketing department on the front end, but you really know you don't have everything put together on the back end, if you don't have the team to actually be able to increase the rates of owner operators, and again, I'll make the point again, as an owner operators have an extremely high amount of overhead, meaning they're not going to waste their time with dispatchers that does not really bring in expert advice, and that they don't really have everything figured out on the back end, because the whole time the trucking business is losing money, right? I put out another thing. I start putting out some more information that I put out in the boot camp, right? One thing I teach my boot camp members is what a lot of dispatchers don't know is that when the owner operators are reaching out to you, their business is, I would say, actively failing. Their business is actually failing, and they're going out of business when they reach out to the dispatcher. That's the whole reason they're reaching out, because they got so many pain points and they're not bringing in the revenue that they need to, and their overhead is so high that their business is failing. But the owner operator isn't going to get on the phone with the dispatcher and say, hey, my business is failing, I don't know what to do right now. No, they're going to ask the dispatcher, well, what rates can you get me? What lanes can you send me to? Do you got direct shippers? They're going to ask you questions like that. But see, I know from dispatching so many years that I can feel the emotions or hear the emotions in their voice to kind of judge like how their business is. That being said, that's the reason why owner operators really don't trust dispatchers, because a lot of times their business is failing. You got dispatchers doing some marketing saying, I can find you the highest paying loads, and then they can't back that up on the back end, and owner operators are getting tired of going through that, right? Any pain point that's out there in the trucking industry, I already have solved, because I already know all the pain points. And what I do is I just take my time to research all the pain points and then come up with solutions with each and every one of them. So that's why I have my dispatcher boot camp right now, and I've already trained expert dispatchers to work for you. I already trained expert cold callers to call owner operators to set appointments with you. So now you just plug right into the system, right? So now people don't have to, you can go out there and market anything you want, market your business, the best that you can, because on the back end, we got you covered, right? We already are increasing. Kizzy already increased her driver's revenue by 204%, right? And that's what we need to know as dispatchers. How do we increase revenue, right? So then what I do is I teach people to do this, like Kizzy. She's still in the boot camp with new members as they come in, and they immediately start learning what Kizzy is currently learning off her current drivers. So we get it to happen fast. So anybody in the boot camp, LA Reid, do you have any drivers? Anybody on the live right now, do you have any drivers? If so, let me know how many drivers you have. LA Reid, if you have any driver. LA Reid I have 3 drivers, OTR, 2 power units only. So you got 2 power units, and maybe the other one has a trailer on it. I'm taking it. And that's good. If you got drivers, let me know, right? Because I want to work with people with drivers already too. Maybe I can answer some of the questions about the drivers you have now. What's currently going on in your business? LA Reid, if you don't mind, can you drop in the chat, what is your biggest pain point in your freight dispatch business right now? What's your biggest pain point in your freight dispatch business, LA Reid? Anybody else too? Even if you don't have drivers, what pain points are you facing right now? What do you feel like you can't get over right now? What pain points do you have? Anybody with any pain points in their business? See, Silver Fox Freight Management LLC says, I have one, but I got to let him go. So you have one driver, but you have to let him go. He doesn't want to use his ELD and abide by hours of service. Yes, we will come across that a lot. Just like Kizzy, who's in the boot camp, she's on the live here. She has come across that in her business. So pretty common. And what will fix every pain point in a freight dispatch business is pipeline acceleration, increasing leads. Increasing leads will heal every pain point in your business. So Silver Fox, I noticed that you're saying that you just have one driver. You got to let him go because he's not following the ELD. So what I first think about that is I think about, of course, we need to increase pipeline flow. We need more leads in the pipeline because you got that one driver that you're about to let go, but you don't have any other drivers. So we definitely need to increase leads, because basically we want, this just goes back to how I said, building out a freight dispatching business. So Silver Fox, and able to build out your business, of course, we got to have drivers in the pipeline, and we need constant drivers. See, a lot of times your first driver, sometimes your first couple of drivers won't even work out, right? And that's when a lot of people give up, right? It's so many milestones that would come up and so many issues, people start hitting those issues and then they give up. But if you keep working on those issues, you smoothen it out. You know, a lot of people don't know in business, you got to smoothen it out the entire time. So Silver Fox, I definitely say lead generation. Focus most of your energy on lead generation and getting more leads in the pipeline so you can have 4 and 5 drivers and then be hiring some dispatchers to work for you, right? Yeah. So as one driver leaves, we want that next one coming right in, because see what it puts a bottleneck in the pipeline. So for Silver Fox, if you have to let go of that one driver, then you don't have any more drivers. Of course, it's a bottleneck and it stops the revenue, which we don't want in business. So I just say, yeah, lead generation. See, LA Reed, pain point is not getting to 7K a week per driver. I'll probably say, what have you been doing to get to 7K per week? Or has the revenue been increasing? Has it at least been increasing? Something I definitely recommend to track profit margin, right? That's something I teach in the boot camp. You know, we track cost per mile, we track revenue per mile, but all that is secondary compared to profit margin, because as we increase profit margin, every other metric will improve as a byproduct of increasing profit margin. So I would definitely make sure you're tracking profit margin for that owner operator, and tracking how much they're making each week. I would like to know, I know you said you're not getting them to 7K, but I would like to know, is revenue increasing from week to week, to at least know we're on our way to 7K, and how far off from 7K a week are we? See, STS said, I've only worked in healthcare, and I just want to tell you, STS, that's a great thing. And maybe one day you can be just like I am, because when I came into dispatching, I came from healthcare. I didn't have any experience in cold calling, dispatching, negotiation, trucking, or anything. I came from healthcare and aviation. So just want to make the point that that's not a barrier. If you don't have trucking experience or dispatching experience, that isn't a barrier. So yeah, the boot camp will help with that. And what we do, I can teach you about cold calling, but when you join the boot camp, you get 2 free hours of cold calling. That's for my expert outbound marketing team. Kizzy, our boot camp coordinator, she has a lot of experience with this, because she also uses that outbound team, and basically we call on your behalf, STS. So on behalf of your company, let's say you're STS Logistics, we will be calling on behalf of your company. Say, example, if I was calling, I'll say, hey, this is Antoine with STS Logistics, and I would talk to the owner operator on that cold call, and then at the end, I would ask, would you like a phone call from the owner of the company, right? And from there, we would just book a call with them, set a time, and pass the information to you. And how we like to do it, how I like to do it, I don't like to set times. I tell the outbound callers, when they're on the phone with them, ask the owner operator, can STS call you? Can the owner call you here in a couple of minutes, right? So that's how fast we get things moving. The outbound callers are going to ask, can the owner operator, can you take a call from the owner here in a couple of minutes? That owner operator is going to say yes. We're going to immediately, and I mean immediately, get off the phone with them and immediately send you a message with all the information, the type of truck, the owner operator's name, MC number, phone number. We're going to immediately send that to you. And my suggestion would be for you to immediately call the driver, right? Forget setting appointments. We're trying to get these drivers signed up and make some money. So let's get it. So I can't help with cold calling, but you don't even really need to worry about cold calling when you join the boot camp, because experts who are doing it every day, I got them doing this every day. That's their full-time job. So they're already experts, and they're basically already gaining more experience for you, because just like they're doing for the current boot camp members, when you join, they're going to do the exact same thing for you. So we hope to see you soon, STS. Kizzy, the boot camp coordinator, she was in healthcare also. And I'm going to tell you guys, every question that I would mainly get would be a lead generation solution. And that's what people have to realize in freight dispatching. Everything has to do with lead generation. Even this question here, many drivers don't want to drive far, but want to make thousands of dollars. They don't understand the market and have unreasonable expectations coming into the industry. This is very true. It is very true. You will run into many drivers like this. That's another thing. As dispatchers, we play so much of a consultant and mentorship role. We are always mentoring our drivers. So Silver Fox, what I would recommend to do is, of course, is increase leads. Because what you want to do, you want to get oversubscribed, where basically you can start picking and choosing what drivers you're going to sign up. While you're on the sales calls, you want to kind to read their personality by the questions they're answering and how they're replying to questions and their energy. I'm like filling out their energy while I'm on a sales call. And if I don't want to sign them up for my company, I'm not going to sign them up, because what's going to happen is, as the business owner, if I sign them up and if I'm dispatching them and they don't understand the market and have unreasonable expectations while I'm attempting to dispatch them, that's just going to drain me of energy, and that's going to take away energy from my marketing department for me generating more leads. And we can't allow that to happen. Or if you have dispatchers working for you, you'll take in those drivers and your employees will have to dispatch those drivers. And then it'd be a burden on your employees, and that's going to fall back on you as the business owner. So what we definitely want to do, we definitely want to get oversubscribed. We want so many leads coming in the pipeline that is more leads coming in the pipeline than we need. And then we can pick and choose the drivers we want to work with, right? Most freight dispatchers will never get oversubscribed, but we want to be oversubscribed. We want more drivers coming in than we can possibly handle. That's the demand, right? And demand has to be generated. It has to be manufactured. And by you making the social media posts and the videos and doing the marketing, your marketing is generating demand for your business. And cash flow, the money in your bank account, comes from the demand you generate in your marketing department, right? So I speak a lot like this in the boot camp, because I want people to realize, like, how do you manifest the money? How do you reverse engineer the money? It comes from the ideas you generate in the marketing department. I'm going to share a slide again. So why immediate cash flow matters. So confidence, as I said at the beginning of this live, first dollars prove your business works, right? You need to know your business even works. If you haven't got paid any money, how do you even know the business works? Your business does not work until you got paid some money. It's business, right? Business is about generating money. Business isn't just about training or getting your freight dispatch agreement or load board access. It's about making sure that the business can generate cash flow. Momentum. We need momentum. We need motion. Momentum attracts more drivers. Plus brokers fast. So yeah, you can attract. So as you attract more drivers, you're going to get in contact with an increased amount of brokers, and you're going to have an increased amount of opportunities. So as you increase drivers, you're going to increase the amount of brokers you network with, which will also grow your network, grow your net worth, because that's more brokers you have networked with to offer even future owner operators. This all has to be reverse engineered. You want to meet the brokers with the high paying loads. You're going to have to reach out to some brokers, and to reach out to some brokers, you need the drivers coming in the pipeline to have a reason to even be reaching out to brokers. Okay. STS says she will enroll in the boot camp very soon. We look forward to having you, STS. Definitely look forward to having you. Thank you. So stability pays bills and funds growth activities, right? We need immediate cash flow coming in to be able to pay bills and fund other growth activities. The members in the boot camp, as they're generating cash flow, we're already taking some of that cash flow and investing into tools, into software programs, right? Which will increase the cash flow even more. So we want to keep thinking of ideas to increase the cash flow. Just gonna put this up. LA Reed says, let the drivers drive. You should only be responsible for booking. So I just want to bring that up. Also, what we're realizing in the dispatcher bootcamp, right? So we really concentrate on leads because we want drivers that understand the market and that work with us, that are partners with us. Why? Because if you have those type of drivers, you are going to be able to build out your freight dispatching business more. You're going to be able to scale their business. When they get their second truck, their third truck, you are going to be able to help them scale their business. So if you got drivers that really don't want to work with you, or you don't have a good working relationship, you're never going to get them to the point of being able to scale their business. And what you realize, you don't see very many dispatching businesses out there with, let's say, testimonials or talking about how they scaled the revenue in their driver's business and their driver was able to buy a second and third truck. I'm gonna tell you guys, honest answer, most dispatchers don't have any motion. Most people out there with a dispatch business have no motion, have no momentum. And this is how you can tell, because in the marketing that dispatchers do, it's mostly just pitches. I can find you the highest paying load, 24/7 dispatch service. Sign up with me now if you need high paying loads. But where's the stories? What do you have going on with people that's already signed up with you, right? You don't hear really any of that, right? Because most people out there aren't about what they talk about. They're just trying to say they have high paying loads to get some drivers. But the thing is, if that's all you ever say, that's a direct sign that you don't have any motion within your implementation plan or program. And realize this: dispatching, as a dispatcher or owning a freight dispatching business, you have a done with you implementation program, right? If you were just training the drivers to increase revenue or how to run a trucking business, you would just be a trainer, or you would just have training. But what most dispatchers don't understand, you are a trainer. You are a trainer as a dispatcher, but you're more than that, because what you're doing, instead of just giving them training, they expect for you to have all the knowledge already like a trainer would, but you're implementing that into their business. You're implementing that knowledge. Basically, a freight dispatching business is a trucking business, but you don't have the physical assets. You just supposed to have the knowledge of how to run a trucking business, and you take that knowledge of how to run a trucking business and you implement it into your owner operators trucking businesses. Most people don't think deep enough about freight dispatching. They only think, let me try to book some loads or let me get load board access. So that's the reason they don't really rise up a very like profitable, or they don't really build a freight dispatching business, because it's a lot deeper thought than most people realize. You got to realize, even as the dispatcher, you're handling the spiritual part of the trucking business as the dispatcher. The owner operator is handling the physical part. As the dispatcher, you're trying to decide on different loads you may see on the load boards. You're making negotiations. You're making a lot of mental decisions, right? And then basically the results of all those mental decisions that you made is the load that you book for the price that you book. And then you basically hand that baton to the owner operator, and they handle business on the ground, right? So it takes the dispatcher and the owner operator having a good working relationship to actually be able to build the trucking business. If the dispatcher and the owner operator, if they don't have a good working relationship, the trucking business isn't going to be getting built, or the dispatching business either. Yeah. So from there, what we want to do is we want to have a cash injection sprint. So if you've been following me some time, you hear me talk about the Trello board, right? You can go to Trello.com, that's Trello.com, to sign up with Trello. But you have a project management board. Launching a dispatch business is a project. Launching a trucking business is a project. Members are successful in my freight dispatching bootcamp because we take the launch of your freight dispatching business like a project, right? And we have a blueprint. We have a step-by-step blueprint that you follow. So you can make up one of these project management boards on Trello for free. So I would suggest that. And what I have here is the plan of the week. So when I first started my freight dispatching business, at first, it was just like a lot of other people's freight dispatching businesses. It wasn't going anywhere at all. It wasn't going anywhere. And then I thought back to when I was in the United States Navy, and I thought back to before we started every week, we used to have a POW, which is a plan of the week. So what we would do, we would plan each week before we started it. So my freight dispatch business did not go anywhere until I started to plan my week before I started it. Every Sunday night, I would sit down and I would create a plan of the week. I would write out everything I had to do during the week. And I would tell myself is whatever I put on this list on Sunday night, consider it already done. If I have to tell some friends, some family, I can't do certain things, that's what I'm going to say. But I had to realize I'm actually building my business. I can sit around and watch YouTube videos all day. I can sit around and ask questions all day or think about things. But if I'm not putting in any action, then nothing's going to happen, because I actually got to build this thing out. So I really did make it a point to whatever I wrote down, you can consider it already done. And when you get to that point as a business owner in your freight dispatch business, that's when you'll see things start to happen. Leads come in, revenue started to be made. So here you have the plan of the month. This is where you want to put your strategic goals for the month. Here you got your plan of the week. This is what you want to get done every week. So what I do every Sunday night, like about right now, I had to look at the time. It's 8:15. Usually I do it about 7 p.m. That's what you need to do as a business owner. Get religious about what you do. Do it the same time, 7 p.m. every Sunday, making a plan of the week. And then you'll see you can increase your own revenue, right? When you start increasing your own revenue, and then you are able to think back, oh, it's because of that idea I put on my plan of the week. And then I executed on that idea, and then I got more leads in, and I got more drivers to sign up. And then it's like nobody has to tell you to do this. So on Sundays, I put down every all the important stuff I need to do during the week. I just create new cards and I put it right here, right? And then after I do that, I put them on whatever day I need to do these tasks. So for right now, we're just gonna copy this card, go put it on Monday. So I'm just copying the cards, but see what we want to do? We want to go on a 3-day cash injection sprint. So this is where we're going to do it. So I'm going to sit down tonight, like now, and I'm going to do a 3-day sprint. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So if I'm just starting to launch my freight dispatch business for this 3-day sprint, I might say post 3 times daily to social media. I would suggest let's post on Facebook and IG. So 2 social media sites 3 times a day on both of those sites, or as many as you want, because this is just going to increase demand. You have more attention. We want to get attention on your brand. That's the main thing about owning a freight dispatch business. Owning any business is about the attention you get on your brand, and you want to continue to get more attention on your brand. You want, especially as the owner, and you start outsourcing the work, hiring dispatchers to work for you, you want 90% of your energy to be on marketing, not dispatching. You want to hire somebody. You want to even be able to hire a dispatch supervisor to handle that part of the business. And you want to be working on marketing and strategic goals with your owner operator. You want to be talking to your owner operator about, their profit, holding meetings with them, speaking about your profit. I want to give a big shout out to Kizzy that's in the boot camp. She may still be here in the live. Give a big shout out to her so far. One of the things when I started my freight dispatcher boot camp that I wanted to be able to happen with freight dispatchers, because everything I'm doing in the boot camp is totally different from the market, right? So I knew there weren't any freight dispatchers holding meetings with all their owner operators on Zoom calls, like holding a meeting once a month to speak. I mean, not once a month, but once a week to speak to their owner operators about revenue, where their profit margin is at, whether their deadhead mileage is decreasing, right? So I thought it'd be great value for dispatchers to be able to get all the owner operators they're dispatching for in a Zoom meeting and speak over this information. So I want to give a big shout out to Kizzy. That's what she's doing with her owner operators. She's getting all her owner operators together every week in a Zoom meeting and discussing how the previous week went, discussing how profit went, right? Discussing her owner operators that they increased their profit by 204%, right? So we want to start being able to do what the market can't do. We do what the market can't do. We offer value that others in the market cannot, they cannot offer it. Blue Ocean Strategy. If you haven't read the book Blue Ocean Strategy, it is a good read. Definitely welcome Kizzy. And when you guys join the boot camp, you will be there in the boot camp with Kizzy. She's very far in her business. She's able to increase revenue in owner operators' businesses. She's able to help owner operators source direct shippers. I think I seen a question earlier. I think it was LA Reid about the 7K per week. I would say maybe start adding some direct shippers. And if you join the boot camp, you have me, Kizzy, and the other boot camp members who have already been where you are able to help you out. So for our 3-day sprint, we're going to be every day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If I'm launching my freight dispatch business right now, I would post 3 times daily to social media. On Monday, I would also make 20 sales calls on each day. These are really cold calls. We'll call these cold calls. You're going to be cold calling owner operators off the FMCSA directory of owner operators. I will pull that up very shortly. So make 20 cold calls. So cause and effect, what we really want to do, we want to post 3 times a day on social media and make the 20 cold calls for 3 days in a row. And then we want to observe results after that. In the boot camp, this is something I talk about a lot. We call these lead and lag indicators, right? So what we put on the Trello board here are our lead indicators. And then after we do this 3-day sprint, we want to observe the lag indicators. And to be able to do this 3-day sprint, we want to have post ideas to put on your social media pages. And to get those post ideas, we can simply use ChatGPT to help get us started on that. So I'm going to be dropping the link if you don't have it already. I'm going to be dropping the link to my list of over 100 ChatGPT prompts for your freight dispatching business. So we got marketing, sales, KPIs, customer service, operations, and start scaling. So marketing. If you need a UVP, a unique value proposition, you have one here. Act as a freight dispatching business owner and craft a unique value proposition that sets your dispatching services apart from competitors. You can copy to clipboard. I'll be sending out the link so you can have all these prompts here shortly. So you can copy that to the clipboard. And then if you pull up ChatGPT, this is just on a free version. I have up on the screen now. But what I'm going to be able to do is just paste this in ChatGPT so we can start getting together a UVP. So already ChatGPT has a UVP for us: efficient, transparent, and driver-centric freight dispatching. We keep you moving, you know. So this would be very much better than saying I have the highest paying loads. Saying I have the highest paying loads, you might as well be saying I don't have anything at all going on in my dispatch company, and I'm just trying to say I have the highest paying loads to see if a driver will reach out. You're saying the exact, that's what owner operators hear when they hear you say, I have the highest paying loads. So you hear, you have the UVP here. I can say rewrite the UVP. So I'm going to tell it to rewrite the UVP and speak more about increasing revenue. Boost your bottom line with high-powered freight dispatching. More loads, higher rates, greater profit. So this will be an excellent UVP. So what you would need to do in all your brand messaging, anytime you speak about your business, everything should be going back to this UVP, should be related to this, your brand messaging. That's very important in freight dispatching, your brand messaging. So your brand messaging needs to match your UVP, and then your UVP and your brand messaging need to match the services you provide on the back end. And once all that is in alignment, you will be able to generate higher revenue and you will be able to retain more owner operators, because what you're saying in the front end of your marketing matches what you do on the back end, right? You want what you say in the front end of your marketing to match up with the back end, and you want your customers to see the result of that as quickly as possible. Let's get it. So I had it rewrite focusing on revenue. See, this wasn't ChatGPT. Some people, would say, well, this is what it gave me. you have to work with ChatGPT and train it and prime it up more, right? So that's the UVP it gave me. I wasn't too much feeling that because just by skimming through here, I don't see anything about increasing revenue. I see profitability. I do see that. Ensures every load is optimized. I don't like optimized for profitability. See, some of this stuff is just going to sound too much like AI also. But so I told it to speak more about increasing revenue. This one, first thing I see is revenue generation. What set us apart is our relentless focus on revenue generation. Now, I love that. That's what I'm talking about, right? So you won't hear many dispatchers saying this, because the thing is, if you say this in your brand messaging, you're going to need to be describing how you're increasing revenue, right? You can't say this and then just say I have the highest paying loads. My main point is you got to have some good brand messaging. Expert team uses data-driven insights, profitable opportunities in the market. So that sounds better. So I'll drop the link to these ChatGPT prompts here in the chat. That's right. I see Kizzy put relentless in the chat. That's the word to use. Relentless. You need to be relentless in your marketing. Now, Kizzy knows the word fire. I use fire a lot in the boot camp. You need to be putting fire on the market. When you're putting those marketing ideas out there, that's putting fire on the market. And if you don't have any customers, the more fire you put on the market will end up giving in to that fire that you put in on the market. The market will end up giving in to you lighting up the market with your ideas, and you'll get a customer. So the link is in the chat there. You can just click that link, take a brief assessment, and you will have access to this ChatGPT prompt list of mine. So this one here, act as a freight dispatch business owner and outline the key characteristics of an ideal driver to work with, including their needs and challenges. So I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. I'm going to go back over here to the free version of ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste it in so our business partner can give us some answers. So key characteristics of an ideal driver to work with: professionalism and reliability. You know, it gives you a few bullet points: safety conscious and compliance driven, experienced and skilled, strong work ethic, tech savvy, and adaptable. So get some stuff from there. We're going to copy this one. Act as a freight dispatch business owner and design a Facebook ad campaign to target drivers who need reliable dispatching services. So remember, we're doing a 3-day sprint, and you need to post on social media 3 times a day. So I'm showing you guys these ChatGPT prompts to give you some ideas. And if you click that link, you can get this full list of ChatGPT prompts to start giving you some ideas of how to market. Here's the ad for one here. And you can put a flyer or flyer design with this if you wanted to, but struggling with finding high paying loads. So I would immediately take that out because it's too many dispatchers saying high paying loads is just overused to me. So I say, are you struggling with finding profitable loads that keep your trucking business moving? We've got you covered. Or you can say, are you struggling with increasing profit margin? Or are you struggling with scaling your trucking business? right? Saying that your dispatch company, we do all the heavy lifting for you. Here's another ad. So give me another ad that offers high value to owner operators. I'm usually using the paid one. I guess on the non-paid one, you only get so many, to put in so many prompts. Yeah, so I can't put any more prompts in on that free one, but that's basically how you could just go through this list here and you get different prompts to put into ChatGPT. And a lot of people don't know this yet, and this is why like training and courses are outdated, because you can get all the answers you need from ChatGPT. It's just implementing these things, right? So we use ChatGPT a lot in the Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp. Here on marketing number 19, act as a freight dispatch business owner and create a 7-day marketing sprint to generate leads for your business. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one in, see what answers we can get on that. That's for a 7-day marketing sprint. So here you got some answers for a 7-day marketing sprint. You can put 3-day marketing sprint, act as a freight dispatch business and create a 3-day marketing sprint. But here's a 7-day marketing sprint. And if I was doing this on my own, I would just take some ideas off of here. Define your UVP. Back on that on the prompt list I have here, you just copy and paste that into here. Or if you want to change it from 7-day to 3-day sprint, you can. But oh yeah, we're saying the UVP. And we got the link, we got that prompt for the UVP earlier. So to define your UVP, you can just go get the prompt to start making a UVP. Here it says update your TikTok, Instagram bio with clear messaging. We helping owner operators get more high-paying loads stress-free. You can say more profitable loads, or helping owner operators increase their business stress-free. So you can also change that up. Create or refresh your Trello or CRM board to track leads, calls, and signups. So you can have a CRM. That would be the next thing I would suggest. So you can also create a Trello board like this, but at the top it can say like lead in, warm lead here, sales call schedule, dispatch agreement sent. Where this one says Tuesday, it could say dispatch agreement sent. Where this one says Wednesday, it could say lead 1 or driver signed up, right? So I have another board that I could bring up, but it's just basically the CRM. It says the different pipeline stages of each driver. So basically you need a plan of the week to put all your actions on the plan of the week. And I will see if I can bring up this other Trello board just to show it better. So it doesn't look like I have it available exactly right now. But basically what you want to do a plan of the week that looks like this to track your activities. And then by the activities that you put on this plan of the week, you'd have another board that looks like this, to where, I have lead in and sales call schedule, just the different pipeline stages of the leads. And each card you'll put like the person's name, like John Smith, and then you move John Smith from lead in to warm lead, sales call schedule, dispatch agreement sent, and lead one. So when it says CRM, that's how you could make a customer relationship management tool using Trello. So this is day 2, social proof and authority. Record a short video, 60 to 90 seconds long, introducing your business and how you help drivers. Share it on Facebook, trucking groups. So you can do the same thing. I'll drop that link where you can take a brief assessment, and then I will email you that prompt list. But these days, just being able to use ChatGPT and executing on some of the things that's on here, or everything that ChatGPT tells you, what I would do if I was going to do this on my own, I would just execute on a couple of these tasks and just see where it gets me. And that's how I am. I just, test it out. Lead indicators and lag indicators. Your lead indicators are these tasks that you're going to be doing, and then the lag indicators are whatever results. So what you want to do as a business owner is just produce those lead indicators and see what lag indicators that you get. Here's the prompt list again. So like I said, we got marketing, we have sales. These are all related to your freight dispatching business. So on the Trello board, we have the 3 social media posts per day, and we had 20 sales calls. You're going to be making 20 sales calls, or 20 cold calls. Excuse me. So there might be a cold calling script on that prompt list, but I just typed this in. Please act as a freight dispatcher and give me a cold calling script for owner operators. Just want to hit enter. So here's a cold calling script. I could say, hi, I'm Antoine. Or I could say the owner operator's name. Hey, Mike, this is Antoine with ABC Dispatching Company, LLC. I'll be quick. Are you currently booking your own loads, or do you already work with a dispatcher? That's step 1. Step 2, identify their pain. If they book their own loads, you can say, got it. A lot of drivers I talk to are tired of spending hours on load boards, only to end up with cheap freight. Does that sound familiar? So it's going to give you the entire script here. And this is why, like, we're not using templates for scripts. We're not using templates to do anything in our business anymore, because we want customized scripts and templates, and ChatGPT can give you that. So if you're not using ChatGPT now, I would definitely suggest it. I'll say, give me. So if you don't like that one, you can say, give me 3 more script ideas. So, and they're put in different angles on here. This is the time saver angle. This is the money multiplier angle. Hey, they say the person's first name. I'll keep this short. I help drivers put an extra $500 to $1,000 in their pocket every single week by finding better paying loads. Do you mind if I ask you how much you're currently averaging per mile? And from the beginning, I was going to say, see, I would start off some way like that, talking about money, even just to say, put an extra $500 or $1,000 in your pocket, right? That's the hook. How you start off your cold calls is the hook. And that's going to determine if they keep listening to you or if they hang up, right? We want more of them to keep listening to us. So even when I started cold calling, the first couple of times or days, people would hang up on me. But then I thought about, well, I need to improve my hook. I need to improve what I'm saying in the beginning of my call and make it interesting so people will stay on the call longer with me. So I think, just for example, this, I'll be quick. Are you currently booking your own loads, or do you already work with a dispatcher? I'm thinking click, hang up, right? Because you start off by asking them, are you already booking your own loads? Or are you working with a dispatcher? So the owner operator just probably thinking it's just another dispatcher wanting to know if I have a dispatcher already, and they're probably going to hang up, right? So you can imagine that you'll get more people hanging up from saying this to saying the money multiplier angle. I'll keep this short. I help drivers put an extra $500 to $1,000 in their pocket every week by finding better paying loads. But see, I think that is going to get more attention and keep more people on the phone call in the beginning. Flow fixer angle. Are you happy with the flow of your loads right now, or do you feel like it's hit or miss week to week? So you got different angles. So you can definitely get your cold calling script from ChatGPT, and you can take a prompt off my list to make that script. How to use storytelling during sales calls to connect with drivers and close deals. So you can just learn, you can kind of teach yourself marketing and sales and about the industry just by using prompts and reading what it's telling you. So that's the good thing about it these days. You can actually just learn sales kind of like on your own by using ChatGPT. So set the stage, the driver's world. Open the conversation with quick acknowledgement of their reality. I know the trucking grind is long hours, unpredictable loads. So what you want to do, most people, especially dispatchers, they're probably not going to want to talk about the pain points. But what I would do is go far into depth within the pain points, right? So it's going to show you're more knowledgeable and that you actually care, and you have took the time out to figure out pain points and the solutions. You want to talk about some of their deepest pain points and then already have the solutions. Already, start talking into the solutions. Share a relatable story from pain to solution. So if you can share a story that takes them from pain to solution, you can sell them into your company. When I first started working with Jermaine, he was frustrated. He was averaging $1.75 a mile and spending 3 or 4 hours a day choosing loads. So what I would do too, and like from the beginning of this live, why I said you need to get customers fast, so you can have some true stories like this, like on cold calls. Imagine if you could be on a cold call and tell a story about one of your actual owner operators. Or let's say this is Kizzy, and she's on the cold call. She's telling a story about her owner operator saying, yeah, Jermaine, he was making such and such, amount of money before he signed up with me. And he was struggling and frustrated. And within 2 weeks of signing up with me, he increased his revenue by 204%. So definitely, if you can share relatable stories on cold calling, I think we can all see how that can definitely help sign up more people. Can pause after the story and say, does that sound familiar to you? A lot of times what these people are going to say, like if you tell a story like this, the person on the phone might say, yeah, that sounds like me, or $1.75, that's about what I'm getting. But see, if you got an actual story where you help an owner operator increase their revenue, you can add that story in, and then you can add bits and pieces of how you help to do that. And then while you're telling the story, the person's already sold. They are already sold. Just like Jermaine, I want to make sure the pressure off of you so you can focus on driving. That's good. Close with a vision story. Imagine next week, instead of just scrolling through the load board, you wake up knowing your day is set. If this was Kizzy, I know earlier in the chat we talked about her having loads booked up for the entire week for a driver. So you can say, imagine next week waking up. Imagine next week, instead of scrolling through load boards, you wake up knowing that your entire week of loads are set and already booked for you. So then you as a dispatcher, you think, how would the owner operator feel in this situation? And you done told a story to somebody else you already working with, and you tell the story and you're in alignment. What you're saying is making sense. So through the sales script, I can see it's kind of like you in the beginning, you set the stage, the driver's world. You let them know that you understand how their world is: long hours, unpredictable loads, and sometimes it feels like brokers don't respect your time. So you set the stage with that, then you share a relatable story, and then you ask them, does that sound familiar to you, the relatable story? And then, of course, you talked about the solution in that story. Then at the end, you transition to the offer. You make them the hero. You know, you make them the hero, and then you close with the vision story and asking them to imagine how you would feel next week, basically referring back to the story if you were like the person in the story. Too easy. That's how you sell right there. And it'd be the best if you attract some leads and get several. Now think about it. If you have just several stories that you might have about, who knows, 10 different stories from the time of you dispatching, that you can just always use one of those stories in your sales calls. You can already have a story lined up, like what's the best one that's going to match with the pain points that this person is giving me on this cold call. So you're basically going to sell them into the business that way. That's cold calling. If anybody has any questions on that, please leave the questions in the chat. Like I said, when you sign up for the boot camp, you get expert cold callers from day one. We do all this for you while you're working your full-time job or spending time with your family. My team of expert cold callers are going to be on the phone for you, and we are going to be calling for you, right? When you join the boot camp now, you get 2 hours free of cold calling. But what I thought about doing, and I will do it, if you join between, let's say, tonight and tomorrow, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 2 hours free every week you're in the boot camp. So every week you will have 2 full hours of someone just dialing numbers, calling on behalf of your company. So the time you're in the boot camp, the 30 days, you will get 8 hours of cold calling. And I can guarantee you, you are going to have scheduled appointments on your calendar every single week, because we're already doing it. I got people on the live right now that's in the boot camp that we're already passing leads to them every single week. So I can guarantee you, you will get on some sales calls. That's a fact. Because my outbound callers, my cold calling team, they're going to get you on some cold calls, right? We're just not calling to call. We're calling to book appointments for our customers, meaning you. So let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling here. Pretty soon, what we're going to get into, I'm going to show you the FMCSA website where you can make these cold calls. Let's get into it. Bring that rate up without further delay. It's going to be time for me to be hitting the bid here in a little while. If you guys know me, you know I got to get that run in the morning. Check me out in the morning on some short videos on my morning run. Got to get pumped up, hyped up. I remember before I started my dispatch business, I said I wanted to be able just to exercise in the mornings, come back, shower, eat a good breakfast, and sit in my chair and start working on my business from home. And I don't have to deal with any coworkers, right? And it's awesome, right? So I think about that every morning when I go on my morning run. I'm almost ready to get on it already. I'm almost ready to get on it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you guys the FMCSA list where you can cold call your drivers. So I'm going to put this link in the chat right now so you have it. This is the link for the website that I'm currently on. Currently at that link right there. You can get there by clicking that link. It's in the chat. FMCSA daily register. These are the different dates that they have come out with new authority. So I just clicked on the first one. You want to make sure you go to the ones that says like MC here. So you got this first company, Austin Enterprise. Belay my last on that. These are name changes. So we don't want these. Make sure you watch out for that too. These are name changes. So they just got their name changed. So we want to keep scrolling down. I believe it is this. Let me just double check. Like I said, my team of outbound callers, they are the ones doing this every day. So sometimes I can be a little rusty. I admit that to you because like I said, I'm the CEO, I'm the business owner. I'm not making cold calls every day. And I don't want you guys to be making cold calls either every day. So it's okay to try it a little bit and everything, but definitely, like I said, if you join the boot camp, you get access to our outbound calling team. Yeah, so it should, yeah, these ones that say decisions and notices. So we're just going to click on one. So we're going to MC, make sure you get the one that says MC and then C at the end for carrier. Go ahead and copy that. And then I'm going to go over to the safer company snapshot. I also dropped this link in the chat. I'm just going to paste the MC number there because here you don't have the company information. You don't have their phone numbers. So you're going to go to safer company snapshot, put the MC number in there and hit search. Let me go back here. Make sure I probably put something in there. Don't think I put the right one. Maybe my copy didn't go through right. We're going to try this again. All right. Worked. So Austin Enterprise Group Incorporated, that's the same company here. So that MC number came up correct. And we have their phone number right there. You got the phone number to this trucking company where you can cold call. You take one of those scripts off ChatGPT and you're able to cold call this person. What I would do is I would go through before you start cold calling, get you about look up 20 companies and get 20 numbers and then just call all those companies one after another. Of course, I would have like a Google spreadsheet, a Google Doc sheet with their name and company information, phone number in there where I can put notes, whether, they didn't pick up or they picked up and you talked to them, or, they said they're interested in your services. So that's how I would do that. So I would do the 3 social media posts, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I would do the cold calling Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So then you're going to have a total of over 9 social media posts, and you're going to have a total of over 60 dials, 60 cold calls made. So after that, you want to just start, you want to see the results. You want it to, the lead indicators is the 3 videos per day on social media, and also the 20 calls per day. Those are the lead indicators. And the lag indicators would be the results, right? So we don't want to stay at a stage in our freight dispatch business where we're just asking questions and that's all. We want to take some actions and see what results we get from that. We want to start actually executing on our business. So that's what I would recommend for you to do, is do that 3-day sprint. Yep, I see Kizzy saying sounds awesome. The exact mindset. She likes having the morning walks, working out from the beach and views of the beach without dealing with corporate office workers. That's true. That's true. And You want to get on those morning runs, those morning walks to increase your energy. I've always felt like my morning runs gets me hyped up and my energy is increased. And then I work on my own business. I don't go into somebody else's job. I get to use that energy and put in my own business from home. So I love it. Kizzy is saying track KPIs, key performance indicators. So that would the 3 videos per day. 3, that's your KPIs. 3 videos per day. 20 cold calls, the KPI is 20. So you want to track those KPIs and make sure you're hitting KPIs. And then after you observe the lag indicators, maybe after this, you get on a call. Maybe after 6 calls, you get to speak to 5, or let's say you after 60 calls, you speak to 20 people or you speak to 10 people. 10 people after 60 calls. And let's say one of them signs up with you. And that's literally what can happen. You just have to execute on the 3-day sprint. So let's say 60 calls, you get one to sign up with you. Bam, you got one driver. The next week, what I would do, or the next 3 days, I would double those calls each day. I would make 40 calls for 3 days straight. And then after those 40 calls each day for 3 days, I'm going to see if I get more than one person to sign up with me. Maybe I get 2 or 3 people, drivers, to sign up with me. Now I got 4 drivers. But remember what I said from the beginning. Now you got 4 drivers. And are you dispatching those 4 drivers? If you're dispatching those 4 drivers, you most likely aren't going to be feeling like making 100 cold calls per day, right? So that's why you got to like balance your energy and not get too busy in the marketing department. But that's about all I have for tonight. I thank all you guys for being with me. If you have any other comments about this video, any other questions, make sure you comment down in the comment section of this video. Make sure you go to my website if you're interested in joining the Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp. So I can just tell you a lot of these things about these different sprints. I can tell you step by step, and you won't have to figure it out on your own. Or you can have your team, which is my team, do the work for you, such as the cold calling and social media ideas and things like that. But I thank you guys for watching this video. Hope to see you in my Freight Dispatcher